Hello, welcome back to the channel. Noah White here again. Today we are going to be installing a catch can, just a cheap catch can that I bought on Amazon. And it probably will be temporary, but the hoses that I had sitting on there before that you saw in the last video on the first test drive, I think I showed you guys what they look like. Those are just terrible. I can't be having those on there. So I'm making a small step in the right direction. However, ultimately I'd like to go with like some nice AN lines and get the fittings all nice, and maybe get like a catch can that was designed for this car, you know, like one that sits in a certain spot. But the catch can I have now is just a universal catch can. I've installed one of these before on, you know, a couple other cars that I've had, and they work okay. There are a few things that I'm missing. I think I'd like to stick some steel wool into the canister of this catch can, but I don't have any right now, and I think that's the only thing I'm really missing. But aside from that, let me just show you guys what I'm working with. So unlike the first drive video, I had these two, if you remember, these two black hoses coming off. They were just running down to the front of the car. I took those off, and then I'm gonna retain this factory fitting here. I believe it's a 1/2 inch size, could be like 9/16, I'm not sure exactly. And normally that thing is actually turned that direction. So it really depends on where you're gonna put your catch can at. I mean, I do have space to put it over here, but I'm not gonna put it over there. I'm actually gonna put it over here, right next to the brake master cylinder, because there's kind of an open hole right now. But yeah, I just have the bracket here for it. I just kind of just drilled and riveted the bracket here, so that way I can just mount it right here. There's a lot of space there, and that should work for me. You can pretty much put it wherever you want though. That's why I turned this thing that direction, so the hose can just run that way. And then what I actually did was take the PCV valve off. Normally on these cars, on the intake side, like the intake valve cover, there's a PCV valve, and what's designed to happen is when you go wide open throttle, there's a vacuum that's going to draw in vapors from that side over there that has a PCV valve, and then over here it's designed to take fresh air into the exhaust side and kind of go over and get sucked out over there. I don't know why they made it like that, or kind of complicated. I mean, it works well, but not for what I want to do. So what I did was go over to Home Depot and I got myself a fitting. I just unscrewed the stock PCV valve, and I got this fitting right here, which is a 3/8 MPT, which I will go on ahead and say now is the wrong thread size. It's not the right size. It threads in a few threads. I just have it in there now. I mean, it's tight, it's snug, but I will tell you that it's not the right thread size, so don't use that. The actual size, I believe, is an M16 by 1.5, like a metric thread, because, you know, this is a Japanese car. So I do plan on modifying these valve covers later on, so I'm going to be re-threading these anyway. So if I damage some threads, I don't really care. So I know that it's in there. I know that some other IS guys have done this before, but that's beside the point. So I deleted the PCV valve, just take it out, get whatever fitting you like, and what you're going to do is run both of these here together into the catch can, which, let me show you what that looks like. This is the catch can I have. This is a dual inlet can, meaning it has an inlet here and an inlet here, obviously for both valve covers. Alternatively, if you only had a catch can that has one inlet, you would have to merge both of those together and then bring it into one hose. And then my outlet is here in the center on this can, or it can be on the top. I haven't decided where to put it at. It kind of depends on how the hoses run. But aside from that, it's pretty simple to set these things up. There are multiple different ways to set these up. This is just one of the ways. You could use a dual inlet like I have, which would be great, because you can take the exhaust side into one inlet and the intake side into the other inlet. If you only have one inlet, you would merge these two together and put it into your inlet. I've seen guys run dual catch cans, so they'll have the exhaust side goes to one catch can, and they'll have the intake side go to another catch can. It's really whatever you want to do. Basically, You just need to get all of the crankcase pressure into a can, and then you'll route the outlet on these back into your intake, or back pre-turbo if you want. I don't have the intake tube on my turbo, and I don't plan on putting it in there because I don't want oily vapor stuff going back into my turbo. I don't even care if this is a cheap China turbo. It doesn't make sense to me to just have oil going right back in there, or oil vapors, that is. I don't want it to go back in there. So personally, I'm going to take my dump, or excuse me, I'm going to have this thing just kind of I don't know, I'm going to probably run a hose down under the car and like away from the cabin so I don't smell any of the fumes or anything like that. But I don't want mine to go back into the intake. But that is the way you're supposed to do it. It's supposed to draw back into the intake, but that's just not the way I'm going to do it. So let me just try and get this kind of set up and show you guys what it looks like. Got my hoses ran back here, got some new hose clamps, ran them just behind the engine here. I mean, as you guys know, try to make things clean. Can't really make these giant hoses that clean, but you know, I tried my best. I just ran them down over here. So as you can see, I have an inlet over here, and then my outlet is actually running down. This one right here is running down underneath the brake booster. You can see the hose right there, and just running straight down, kind of just straight pointed down at the ground back there. Overall, I think it came out okay. The only last thing I'm going to do, which I haven't even done yet, is put the cover back on, because I don't really like the way that these crossover intakes look. They look really ugly. So let me go on ahead and stick the cover on and make sure that it doesn't hit that. I'm really just concerned about this one right here because it's kind of going straight up. You can buy a 90 for this, and that would probably get it to sit a little lower, but I don't mind trimming just a tiny bit of the cover out if I have to. Yeah, so let me just try and fit that on and see what it looks like. Yes sir, actually starting to look like an engine bay again. So got that on. I did have to trim a little bit of the cover out in the back just to clear this hose. Nothing too major though, but overall starting to come together and look more like it did before. Well, obviously with the addition of the turbo on there, but aside from that, everything else is looking pretty good. I don't know, you guys let me know what you think in the comments. Obviously this is not the end-all catch can. I am going to revisit this later, but I know that people are trying to get these things done on a budget, or somewhat of a budget, and so I just kind of want to make sure I can give you guys something that will work and still be kind of budget friendly. So, and this beats having those hoses just kind of just thrown over the side of the intake over here, so should work good. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Really short video showing you guys how to put a catch can on the IS300. Actually, this will work for any car. All the catch cans are basically, you know, they function the same and they're pretty much hooked up the same. Obviously this car has 2 ports to deal with. Most cars only will have 1, unless you have a V8 or a V6, and those will obviously have 2. But yeah, overall I think the install went pretty smooth. I do like where it's sitting at for now. Granted, if you have a manual transmission car, you probably can't put your catch can right there because you probably have to deal with the clutch master cylinder that's sitting right there. But this car is an automatic for now, and so I'm just going to leave that stuff right there. Someone did mention in the comment of the last video that they would like me to kind of go over the FIC, how to go through the software, and kind of just how to navigate in it, how to set up a bass tune, how to set up bass timing and all that. And I think I will be able to put something together for you guys so that whoever is interested can watch it, because I know it's not really very well documented. I mean, there are some things on car forums and whatnot that are pretty old, but overall there's not really anything that's showing you in depth on how to navigate the software and whatnot. So be on the lookout for a video on that. Aside from that, appreciate you guys watching as usual. Hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.